What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with another remix of Depeche Mode's It's No Good from the single release. Thank you again to Yvonne for passing this my way. And admittedly, in the late 90s or in the mid to late 90s, I was going through high school and I was going to techno parties and still going to punk shows. My musical life was very busy, but nevertheless, I had continued to follow Depeche Mode, including the album Ultra, and I'm surprised the single release never came across my path, especially because there was a Hard Floor remix on it. So it's crazy that I'm just hearing these remixes now. But yes, there are 3 remixes of It's No Good in the single release folder, and there's also a B-side I've never heard, Slow Blow, all one word. I've never heard a Depeche Mode tune by that name, so at some point in the coming weeks we will go through that as well, and I'm looking forward to it. In any case, Yvonne mentioned she would like to see a reaction to the Speedy J remix. It's a name I've heard and seen somewhere, so I had to look it up on Discogs. But as far as I know, I don't have any of his music in my collection. But from what I gather, he's from the Netherlands. He began making electronic music. They sort of label it generally, and apparently he's made tunes in a minimal techno style and an experimental techno style, as well as what they call electronic listening music, which I'm not quite sure what that means, but maybe like soundscape electronic art, like ambient, but maybe with some more mechanical or bleepy type sounds. In any case, I'm curious what this is going to sound like. Maybe experimental techno, but I don't think there's any necessary guarantee of that. And if it is, experimental techno can mean a lot of different things. So either way, let's give it a listen. This is Depeche Mode's It's No Good, remixed by Speedy J. So yeah, that's crazy. Now, certainly compared to the hardcore mix, that's disassembling the original tune and doing something very different from the normal version of the track. But I think it's well done, and I think it has a very edgy electromechanical style. Indeed, like in terms of the stylings, I would say techno breaks, maybe a bit drum and bass. Like it didn't have the snare that you often get in drum and bass, like offset against the kick, that syncopated rhythm. But in terms of the overall beat structure, I would say it was similar to drum and bass, or perhaps better jungle, which people use those names in different ways, but when I was going to parties in the second half of the 90s, jungle was a particular style of drum and bass, and there was, further sub-styles like jump up, hard step, and so on, dark step. And I would say this is sort of hard step, like it really has a aggressive kind of wicked sound, that pulsing bass line keeping time and rising in intensity and moving back down again. There's that distorted kick, which it made me think it, like, if that distorted kick, which came in at certain intervals, if that was more pervasive, I might even call this breakcore, which is like hardcore in breakbeat fashion. But yeah, definitely a wicked electromechanical sound. More of the vocals are not in this version, but there are Dave's vocals, but more echoed and repeated, and it feels like we're locked into a machine that is using this track as like an operating language or something. So yeah, definitely a wicked version of the tune. I do enjoy the sections where, again, if it were in a drum and bass party in the 90s, I would be hard stepping on the dance floor, and there definitely would be a lot of pop locking. So yeah, definitely that's the flavor it gave me. It does make me even more curious about Speedy J's work, because when I saw the phrase experimental techno, I didn't necessarily think it would be like that, though again, that phrase can mean a lot of different things, so it's not surprising at the same time. In any case, a very cool remix, and one that goes farther afield of the original, but in a good way. So do let me know what you think. Shout out again to Yvonne for providing this and much else, and I will see you next time. Peace.